What's up, sports bettors? Alex here, and we have 16 MLB games today, so a really good slate of baseball, and we're going to be going through the best player prop bets. So I'm going to be starting out on the Positive EV tool. So again, this tool is just, constantly scanning the markets, UFC, baseball, really everything for you across sports books, updating odds in real time to try to find you the best betting opportunities, right? And you can filter out specific types of bets, leagues, sports, markets, stuff like that, which is pretty cool. So the player we're going to be looking at is Marte. So we're going to be looking at his total bases market, and then this is just the free OddsJam mobile app. So it's completely different than the website because the mobile app just looks at historicals. It just looks at historical player prop data. So for example, for Marte, we can look at over the course of the season, how often has he cashed the over for total bases or the under, right? And you can slice that data by last 10 games, last 5 games, whatever. It's just a free mobile app for player prop research. And we see that 40 out of 77 games, Marte has gone over 1.5 bases. So implied odds just means if you were to have placed this bet all 77 games over the course of the season, what odds would you have broken even with? In other words, your net profit would have been 0, and it's minus 108, right? So if you bet Marte over 1.5 bases every single game this season at minus 108 odds, you would have broken even. If you would have bet it at better odds, like plus 110, you would have made money, right? So it's often helpful. It's not, as important as real-time market data because every game is different, right? If Marte is facing a better starting pitcher today, then he should be less likely to go over 1.5 total bases. And that isn't encompassed in historical data. It's only encompassed in real-time market data, but it is a good sanity check. And if you do like player prop research or looking at trends, stuff like that, it's pretty valuable, right? So we can see Marte's gone over 1.5 bases in his last 7 out of 10 games. So regardless, let's get into the bet. So the bet I'm looking at that I ended up locking in is Marte over 1.5 bases, unsurprisingly. So I bet this at plus 127 odds on Caesars, and this bet has a 10.78% profit margin. So it looks good to the historicals, right? It's cashed the majority of the time this season. We're getting plus money. But again, every game is different, right? So if Marte is facing a better starting pitcher today, he should be less likely to go over 1.5 total bases, and that's not encompassed in the historical, trends or anything like that. It's only encompassed in real-time market data, which encompasses all information available in the sports betting market, right? It encompasses that already. So we can see with a 10.78% profit margin, Marte over 1.5 bases is a good play, right? We can get this plus 127 on Caesars. On OddsJam, you always want to be hitting the bets in bold with a circle around them, right? These are the sharp bets you want to be on, and then this is just your profit margin. So for Marte, over 1.5 bases, we're getting a 10.78% profit margin, and we're getting a ton of value. So Pinnacle, the sharpest bookmaker, they're pricing this all the way down at minus 110, right? And we're getting plus 127 on Caesars. So we're getting a ton of value on Caesars to the sharpest bookmaker. And that's exactly what we want as a sports bettor, right? Regardless of what you're looking at, you always want to be looking for value. So we can see this Chapman bet, looks like it was plus 150, just moved down to plus 135, is another good betting opportunity. Maybe, right? You can see it's less profitable, but you're still getting a ton of value to basically every other sports book. So you can just kind of click on a bet to look at the entire betting market. And this is why sports betting is so interesting and fun, is all these bookmakers have different odds, right? Every sports book wants to be unique, so they set odds independently. So the OddsJam software, constantly scanning these books, comparing odds to one another, will show you these line discrepancies like Chapman over 1.5 bases. Obviously was a better bet at plus 150 than it is at plus 135, but it still doesn't even look, terrible at plus 135. So this tool is just constantly updating, scanning the market, trying to find you the sharpest data-driven bets, right? No BS, no fluff, just data-driven bets. So regardless, the first bet I have is Marte over 1.5 bases at plus 127 odds. So our profit margin is 10.78%. I hit it for $100. So our bet has 1078 in profit margin, right? So we can go through the math of that, but we've done it in a ton of other videos. But regardless, all this tool is doing is it's taking the win probability based on Pinnacle's market. So based on the market on the sharpest sportsbook, it's backing out the implied win probability and then comparing that to the odds that you're getting on different sportsbooks, such as Caesars. So this plus 127 is definitely a bet you want to lock in, and I went ahead and locked it in. Again, if you want some more of our free picks daily, Matt gives out some, I give out some just in the Discord. There's 2 premium channels for prize picks as well as for sports betting. But regardless, we'll also give out some free picks. We'll explain what promos we think are good, stuff like that. So if you're looking for more bets on a daily basis, can only make so many YouTube videos in a day, feel free to check that out, and let's make some money.